In 1988, William Bud Post won $16.2 million in the Pennsylvania lottery. Within a year, his brother hired a hitman to kill him for the inheritance. His landlady sued him for a share of the winnings. He was $1 million in debt, and he died in 2006, living on $450 a month in Social Security. That is not a tragedy. That is a pattern. Because according to the National Endowment for Financial Education, roughly 70% of people who receive a sudden windfall, lottery, inheritance, lawsuit settlement, exhausted within a few years. The money doesn't disappear. The psychology destroys it. Let's start where nobody starts. The actual numbers. You win $10 million. Life-changing, right? First, federal taxes. The IRS takes 37% of lottery winnings above $539,900, gone before you touch it. State taxes, depending on where you live, another 4 to 10%. Then the lump sum, because almost every winner takes it. The lump sum is typically around 60% of the advertised jackpot. So your $10 million win? After federal tax, state tax, and lump sum reduction, you are walking away with somewhere between $3.5 and $4 million. Still life-changing, still more money than most people will ever see. But here is the critical psychological problem. Your brain locked in $10 million the moment you saw it. Not $3.8 million, not $4 million, $10 million. And you are about to make every financial decision, every single one, based on a number that no longer exists. That is not stupidity. That is how the human brain processes large numbers. And it is the first trap. Psychologists have a clinical term for what happens next: sudden wealth syndrome. It is real, it is documented, and it begins within 24 hours of going public. The calls start. People you haven't spoken to in years. Cousins you didn't know existed. Childhood friends with business ideas. Charities, churches, neighbors. And here's what the research shows. Humans are neurologically wired for social reciprocity. When someone shows us need, our brain experiences something close to physical discomfort if we don't respond. This is not weakness. It is evolutionary biology. For 200,000 years, humans survived by sharing resources within their tribe. Refusing a request from someone in your social circle triggered genuine psychological pain, because historically, that refusal could destroy the group's trust in you. Lottery winners don't give away their money because they are generous. They give it away because saying no feels, physically, neurologically, wrong. One documented case from Florida. A winner handed $50,000 to a stranger who knocked on his door with a story about a sick child. He did this repeatedly, not once, repeatedly. That is not naivete. That is a brain that was never given the tools to handle sudden wealth. Now here is where most people watching this think they would be different. You wouldn't. And that is not an insult. It is neuroscience. Research published in the Journal of Health Economics, one of the most cited studies on lottery winners, found that large prize winners are no happier than non-winners within 2 years, but their spending permanently recalibrates to match their perceived wealth level. You buy a house in a wealthy neighborhood. Now your annual property taxes are $30,000 to $60,000. You buy vehicles to match the neighborhood. Insurance follows. Your children move to private schools. Your lifestyle now costs $400,000 a year just to maintain. And here's the trap inside the trap. Loss aversion, one of the most replicated findings in behavioral economics, documented by Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, proves that humans feel the pain of losing something approximately twice as intensely as the pleasure of gaining the equivalent thing. You cannot just downgrade. Psychologically, moving from a $4 million lifestyle back to your previous life feels like losing everything, even if objectively you are no worse off than before you won. So you maintain, you keep spending, you borrow to keep up, until the number hits zero. But here's what almost nobody talks about. The spending is not the real problem. The people asking for money are not the real problem. The real problem is identity. Wealth psychologists use a concept called reference class, the group of people you subconsciously compare yourself to when making financial decisions. Before the lottery, your reference class was your neighborhood, your coworkers, your family. The day you win, your reference class shifts overnight to the ultra-wealthy. And against that group, the genuine millionaires, the people with generational wealth, the people who built their money over decades, you feel like you're behind. You feel like you need to catch up. This is why lottery winners buy boats they never use, planes they cannot maintain, mansions with rooms they never enter. They are not buying things. They are purchasing an identity they were never equipped to sustain. Money without a financial identity is like placing a Formula One car in front of someone who has never driven. The power is real. The outcome is predictable. So what separates the 30% who don't go broke? The research is consistent across multiple studies. 3 behaviors appear in almost every case. First, they go dark immediately. No press conferences, no public announcements. In states where anonymity is legally protected, they use it. A financial advisor and an attorney are retained before a single dollar is spent or a single person is told. Second, they never touch the principal. This is the defining behavior. They live exclusively off returns. A conservatively invested $3 million at 4% annually generates $120,000 every year, without reducing the original amount. That is not luck. That is the difference between wealth and a windfall. And third, and this is the one that almost no financial advice covers, they build a new financial identity before they change anything about their life. They ask themselves a set of deliberate questions. Who am I now that I have this money? What does my life look like in 20 years? What am I actually trying to build? Because the winners who keep the money understand something the losers never grasp. The money is not the destination. The money is a tool, and a tool without a purpose destroys the person holding it. Here's the truth that makes this video uncomfortable. You do not need to win the lottery to fall into every single trap described in this video. A salary increase, an inheritance, a business exit, a legal settlement. Any sudden increase in wealth triggers the exact same psychological patterns: sudden wealth syndrome, lifestyle creep, loss aversion, reference class shift. The difference between people who build lasting wealth and people who burn through it is not intelligence. It is not discipline. It is not luck. It is whether they understand the psychology operating underneath their financial decisions before the money arrives.